Hello everyone, it's Marissa from Little Green Feather Crochet, and this week is week 2 of the Be My Honey Bear Cal. We'll be working on row 3 of the bear chart, or if you're doing the blanket charts, that'll be row 11 of the blanket charts. As you can see, I've already crocheted up the first section of the Cal pattern, and I've also crocheted what would be equivalent to row 1 of the bear chart, which is actually the last row of the previous chart when you're joining them together. And I've also done row 2 of the bear chart, which as you can see here is the dark row, because the border stitch shows you that it is the darker color. And we also have noted here that it is going to be our dark brown color. So we are starting with row 3, which is going to be the white or cream color. And we're also going to have the tan or beige color in this row. As you can see, I've circled here. If you watched my video last week, I mentioned that I often change colors behind the drop-down double crochet from the following row in order to keep any white or like ivory color from peeking through into this design area. So I've circled right here with my marker in a couple of areas what I'm talking about, where we'll change colors behind this drop-down double. So the drop-down double will come from row 4, and it will cut across this area with the tan or beige color. Normally in a 2-color mosaic, you would do like the white or cream or beige along, or the white or cream along the entire row. But since we're carrying a color, we'll take the white all the way up here, then immediately switch colors, do the beige or tan behind the drop-down double and in this design area that's colored in, as well as behind the following drop-down double before we switch back to the white. So with that being said, let's get started. The 2 colors we need to get out for this row are the white or cream and the beige or tan. I'm using, it's either We Heart yarn or We Love yarn, I'm not sure which it is, and the Rainbow Cotton 8/4 from Hobby. So we'll start the row as we typically do by putting our hook through the border stitch. Then we'll take our little piece of yarn with the end pointing this direction, and we will pull it through. Then I usually grab this little end with my ring finger, then do the chain for the standing single, and then stick the hook through the same border stitch. At this point, we need to add in our color that we're going to be carrying. So you take the beige yarn and just kind of drape it in this direction over the hook, okay? So you want the end pointing that way. Then, when we have it laid across back here, you'll take your white yarn and finish your single crochet. Oops. And then you'll want to just check, and as you can see here, you have both your beige and your cream going the correct direction, and then you've got your beige coming out this way with the working piece of the yarn. Okay, so as we can see on the chart, we have 9 double crochets. So let me go ahead and complete those. I'll go through 8 of those double crochets, and then I'm going to stop before I pull the last loop through, and I'll change color to the beige. So we've got our white or cream or ivory. We're going to just do 9 doubles from here. Okay, so as you can see, I've stopped short of pulling the last loop through on the last double crochet. And what you want to do is find your beige yarn, the working piece of your beige yarn, toward the back here, and kind of drape it across so that it's slack but not too loose, and then use that piece of yarn to pull through the last loop on the hook. At that point you can kind of tighten up your double, and then you want to put the yarn behind so you can carry it along behind. Okay, so now we'll switch over to the tan or beige, and we want to hold the white yarn behind the stitches in order to keep it from showing through. So make sure you just very carefully put the hook through and then pull up your first single in the tan or beige. And then I'll go ahead and work these 6 beige singles here. And on this last single, you will switch back to the white, pull your white yarn up from behind, and pull your last loop through using the white. And then I just go ahead and tighten down that tan or beige color and hold it down with my ring finger from that point. Okay, so then from here we will just do our 9 white double crochets. Okay, so from here, we're not going to immediately start back into beige because we need to repeat this entire chart. So we're going to start again with 9 white double crochets. And as you can see, I've stopped short of pulling through those 2 last loops so that I can switch over to my beige or tan again. So I pull that again along the back of the row, make sure that it is tight but not too tight so that you have a little wiggle room for when you crochet over it with your single crochets next row. Then you pull the loop through. Oops. Got a little splitting there. Then you tighten up your previous double, and then put your white yarn behind your work, and then you do your 6 beige singles. Then once again we will stop short of pulling up the last loop here, swap over to our cream color, pull that through instead, tighten up our single, and at this point we can kind of hang on to that with our ring finger. We don't need to carry it along the row because we've already finished with the beige for now. So then we'll do our additional 9 doubles that we have to do to finish the row. Okay, so from here we're going to go into our border stitch, but we do need to pull this tan along the row to make sure that you've, pulled it all the way to the end and it will get included in the border. You'll want to go ahead and pull this through like the normal way that you would do a border stitch. But then what I do at the end there, a little yarn snag, is that instead of my normal chain, I'll just go ahead and grab both pieces in the chain that I'm making. So I usually do 2 chains sorry, it's a little tough with those 2 pieces on there. But I'll just do 2 chains. And pull both pieces of yarn through on both chains. And then when I snip it off and pull it through, just make sure I don't have that tan too tight. And then I tighten that right up at the end there so that it's nice and knotted. So we've got this running all along the edge of the row, or like the row here. And next row, when we put the brown on, we'll go ahead and do singles over this to hide it. So, you know, you can see that it's loose but not too loose. And then from here, as I said, I like to knot it as I go along. So just make sure this isn't too tight. And then I grab all 3 of these guys, because I usually do 2 rows at once. All 3 of these guys and just knot them up in there, just to ensure that it's not gonna ever come undone once it's encased in my border. So I'm just make sure that beige isn't too tight, and then just tighten that knot on down. So, as you can see, along this row, we have the white or ivory, and then we've got the beige or tan. And then from here, we'll go on to row 4. And I'll just quickly show you how the drop down double kind of fits over the top of those beige singles, and how it doesn't make like the little show through area that you don't really want to see. So we'll stick this guy on here. Oops. Pull it on through. Okay. So from here, we'll just push our singles through the normal way. But what you want to do is catch that beige yarn in the back. Make sure you keep it nice and low and pull up your singles through that. So here we have 9 brown singles. We'll do those up. Then we can see, if we take a peek at the back, how nicely that beige yarn just got covered up by all these nice little singles. Then from here, if we read the chart, we can see we've got a drop down double here, then 4 more singles and another drop down double. Okay, so from here, we have these 9 singles, and then since we'll restart our chart again, we'll have 9 additional singles. So 18 singles where we need to crochet over the tan or beige yarn in the back. So I'm just gonna pull out some of my yarn here since it's the beginning of the skein and it's driving me crazy. So I'll just take care to crochet over the tan or beige yarn every single stitch. You don't want to miss one, because then you'll be able to see it in the back. So as you can see, we've covered over the yarn all the way along the back. From here, you'll need a drop down double, 4 singles, and another drop down double. So from here, we're going to finish covering up the last of the beige yarn to get to the end of the row. We've got 9 singles. And then we'll just do our border stitch. Oops. Snip it off. Pull it through. Tighten it on down. And we have our nice little brown row added in. And I like to just pull this little piece through, kind of keep that yarn out of the way until I can knot it with the next row. So yeah, so that will take you through row 4 of the chart, or row 12 of the blanket chart. So from here you just keep kind of following along. Row 5 will obviously be the white or ivory and the tan as well. And then you would switch colors, as I said, under the drop down double from the row above. So just on that little gray line there, if you've done it in grayscale, or if you haven't, then it's going to show up as a green line. But as you kind of get used to carrying the colors along the rows, it becomes a little bit more intuitive and you just get a little bit more used to it. So please do let me know if you have any questions or comments. And I look forward to seeing everybody's finished creations as we kind of continue on with this little cowl that we have going.